Hi, I'm James. I'm the writer of You Know Carol,
And I'm Richard. I'm the director of You Know Carol.
and today I'm going to be interviewing Richard with regards to finding out a little bit more about the production. So, hi, Richard.
Hello.
First of all, perhaps could you tell us a little bit about yourself and as a director and a theatre maker?
Yeah,
Who you
sure.
are.
So I really wanted to be an actor when I was younger, like so many people. Was in lots of school plays and that kind of thing. And I went to university to study drama at Anglia Ruskin. I didn't realise that if you want to be an actor, you don't study drama. You go to drama school. And I realised partway through studying drama, oh, hang on, I've gone down the wrong path. But thankfully, around the same sort of time, I drifted into preferring directing. And a drama degree is a great place for a director. And I gained more and more passion for directing and drifted further away from acting as time went on. And then after university, the first big thing that I directed was 7 Words for Love, which was a collaborative written play. So it's a new writing, which I've been into for a long time. And so we have multiple writers all contributing scenes to this collaborative play. And then right on, the Cambridge Scriptwriting Forum were involved in that, and that they sent me writers. And Julia Bolden, who was the chair at that time, she came to see it, and she was like, "Oh, I like him. I want him to come and work for us at Right On."
Sounds
So,
like Julia.
yeah. So she poached me. Literally on the last night, she came up to me and said, "Oh, this is great. Do you want to work with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right, yeah, cool."
Nice.
And so I joined the Right On committee, and I've been a Right On boy ever since. I now co-chair Right On with Julia, and I've really developed my directing there, really. Directing script in hand plays. Some of them are yours.
Some of them are mine, yeah, very, very nicely so as well. Remember first time I met you, directed something called Choice Cuts,
Yeah.
which was which was brilliantly done. So thank you very much for that, and hence why we're collaborated subsequently as well, I think. So you sort of talked about there about wanting to be an actor and what have you. Previously, and in terms of, you obviously like your theatre and entertainment like that and stuff. Do you have a particularly favourite film or play or director at all? Is that possible to
So
answer?
classical play, my favourite play is A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Right.
Obsessed with it. I've seen it like 12 times. I've acted in it multiple times, directed it multiple times, but obsessed with it.
Nice.
In terms of contemporary stuff, I love Fleabag and I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I only discovered her more recently, but I absolutely love her. So my wife Tamsin kept suggesting it to me. Oh, this thing Fleabag's really good. You should watch that. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And a few years later, I watched it and I was like, have you seen Fleabag? And she was like, yes, I've been telling you about it for ages. And I absolutely love it. I love the TV show, obviously, and then I really wanted to learn more about the original production. So I didn't get a chance to see it in a theatre, obviously, because that's quite difficult to do, and she's not doing it anymore.
No.
At least not acting in it herself. But I did get to watch her, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, perform it when they screened it in the cinemas, and absolutely loved it, and I've got the script. So she's my favorite contemporary writer at the moment, I would say. And what I love about it is it's just so unapologetic. It really, I think it has really stuck with so many people because she doesn't hold back at all.
Nope.
in the writing, and she's got a real clear style. Not only is it unapologetic, but she's really got a distinctive style to it, in the writing, the play, and in the TV show. And she knows what she wants to make, and she doesn't hold back in making it. And that's something I want to strive for. Be unapologetic, be bold, and do what you want to do.
She has a really clear, beautiful voice. So Fleabag is a phenomenal piece of work. It really is. Yeah, I very, very much enamored of that myself as well. But obviously, you talked a little bit about Write-On and certain stuff that we've been involved in together before. Can you tell us how you got involved in Carol?
Yes. So in my capacity as co-chair of Write-On with Julia and I, while the pandemic was happening, we wanted to create opportunities for writers to continue to exercise their creative juices and continue to write. And so we devised Zoomalogs, is what we called it, which is plays written specifically for Zoom. And when we did a duologues round, you yourself contributed, Carol Kieran's mum, a 5 to 10 minute duologue for that. And it was great. It was really good. We loved it. And not long after that, I got an email from you saying, "Oh, I might have written some more episodes connected with that one." And then I took forever to read them, and I'm really sorry.
All right. It was. I think I said you about 7 extra episodes, and like, it's not exactly over a cup of tea, is it? So.
No. And then I read them, and I loved them, and I told you as much, and you were, "Oh, do you want to direct it?" And I was like, yes, please. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. No, that's fair. That's basically that's basically what happened. Yeah. So obviously, this you talked about Write-On and Zoomalogs, and the Zoomalogs grew out of the situation that we're in at the moment. We can't be in physical theatres at the moment, so that has changed the process of stuff just generally, and it did with this production as well, obviously. Can you tell us a little bit about the background? So what about the auditions? Can you tell us a little bit about how they differed, what was happening with those? Were they different?
Yeah, definitely. They were really intense. As I recall, we had 2 audition days where we had 10-minute slots for each actor to audition for us over Zoom. So first time I've ever held auditions over Zoom, and it was intense because, as always, you want to see so much from the actors. And if we had longer than 10 minutes, it would have gone on forever. So 10 minutes was the right amount of time, but it was quite quick, because literally the second we were like, "Okay, thank you for coming," then we were like, "Oh, someone else in the waiting room." So it was quick fire auditions, but I actually love it. I think it's great. And I think even when the world goes back to normal, I think I'd be interested in doing auditions over Zoom, because you don't have to hire a hall. You don't have to go anywhere. If you're not doing a group audition, if you're seeing people on a one-to-one basis, and this is a great way of doing it, I think. And I'd be interested in doing it again.
Yeah, I think what was nice about that as well, personally, just to find as well, was the fact that we ended up getting some people that we wouldn't necessarily have got otherwise.
Yeah, that's true.
The main one I'm thinking of, we possibly wouldn't have had our Carol. It would have been a crying shame, but anyway, that's a
I hadn't thought about that way, but that's true. Yeah, that's
good. Anyhow, we mentioned a bit about the auditions themselves, and obviously then that transferred into rehearsals and filming and what have you. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well, and how it differed or was the same in places from what you're used to doing with the theatre and stuff?
Yeah. So I've never directed for camera before, so that's very new. But one of the advantages is it's single camera. I haven't got to know about different lenses and different types of shots and all the cinematography side of things, which meant that I could just focus on working with the actors and not having to worry about technical stuff. So in that sense, it wasn't too dissimilar for, to directing for the stage. However, when it comes to recording, it's got some advantages and some disadvantages, because obviously they have the luxury of, if something goes wrong, we'll be like, oh, we'll just go back and we'll do it again. So obviously you don't have that luxury in a theatre with an audience, because you can't say to the audience, oh, sorry guys, we're just going to go back to the start of the scene because we weren't happy with how that bit went. So that's nice. But still, every episode is a single take. So you've got 10 to 15 minute episodes. So because we didn't want any cuts, we wanted it all to just be one take. That meant that sometimes we'd get right to the end, like literally the last page, and something would go wrong, and then we'd finish and the actors would be like, oh no, what did I do? And we'd have to go over it again. So although that seems like an advantage at first, it's not necessarily an advantage. So yeah, it had its pros and cons, but for me personally, an extra challenge was that I was driving the technical equipment to each actor's house. So the first day of filming, we had 3 episodes being filmed, but because we had one lot of equipment that was being passed around, I had to drive to the first actor's house and then drive home quickly and jump on Zoom so that I could direct the recording session, and then drive and collect the equipment, drop it off at the next person's, come back, and then do henceforth. Yeah, so that was quite exhausting, but thankfully when it came to actually recording, the stress is on the actors, not me quite so much. So it was manageable, but yeah, that was certainly an interesting experience.
Yeah, logistically it was interesting, and I'm very grateful for you to having done all of that, and it worked surprisingly well.
Yeah.
So that was, it was really good. Fantastic. So you were talking about coming and sitting down and then just directing the actors, both in the rehearsal obviously and then during the filming as well. So directors tend to have their own particular style. Actors will know that and what have you, and any people probably know that. Do you you obviously have your own particular way that you prefer working, your own particular style. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you sort of applied it to this particular show?
Yeah. So there's a saying in the industry that most directors have come from some other background, and that background will impact how they approach directing. So directors who used to be set designers will, get really fussy about the set and not necessarily worry too much about the acting or the costumes. Directors who used to be costume designers, will create amazing costumes and not put so much focus on the other stuff. Because my background as an actor, my priority is working with the actors and exploring the minutiae of the performance. That does mean that I neglect some of the other stuff, and you'll know from working with me that I'm like, costume, oh, I don't care, just wear what you've got, which isn't very good for a director. But yeah, my focus is definitely on the actors, and something that I think is really important is just talk about the characters and about the play. And having been an actor in other productions, I'm shocked at how sometimes they don't have any chat. Like, okay, first rehearsal, right, you're coming in from that side, off you go. And you're like, oh, can we just talk about, what the character's like, the context of what we're doing. I think all that stuff is really, really, really important. So one of the main things that I brought to this is that Carol obviously interacts with quite a few different family members, all with very different relationships. And particularly with Carol being in every episode, it's very important that Danny, playing Carol, had an understanding, a good understanding of who Carol was. So we had a special session just with Danny where we talked about all that. And at the start of each session with Danny and one of the other actors, we spent quite a lot of time, talking through how they saw their own characters and how they saw the relationship between their characters. and the nitty-gritty bits sort of the scene itself. And I think that if you it might seem to some actors like it's a waste of time doing all that. I want to look at the actual words. Why are we talking about it? But I feel like if you can establish the big picture stuff, then I think it does impact all of the the minutiae. If you know what you're doing with the big picture, then when you get to all of these actual given lines, you should have an instinct about how they should be delivered. So yeah, I think that's my priority as a director, and I think that's hopefully what I've brought to Carol.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, Richard. I definitely, sort of having sat in on rehearsals and filming and what have you, the that in-depth getting under the skin of stuff, it's definitely changed a lot of the episodes when when they first read them cold in the first rehearsal to what actually ended up on film. That was really important, and it ended up getting different reads on certain lines that you just weren't expecting necessarily from what's certainly even as a writer that you weren't necessarily expecting, which is just fantastic. So that's great. Yeah, so obviously you've been, although like you're the director, you've been involved in a lot of this thing right from the beginning, basically. Since I first sent you the provisional scripts originally. So do you have a favorite part of the experience, or maybe a favorite part of the film, or even just a favorite line even out of this at all, this whole experience?
Obviously I love all of it.
Of course.
I think the episodes that I enjoyed the most are the episode with Ryan, Carol's grandson, and with Peggy, Carol's mother. And I think the reasons for that would be that those two episodes are quite different to all the others, particularly the characters who are closer to Carol's demographic. I feel like because of the generational difference, I feel like those episodes feel quite different. I think that I think they might be funnier than the others, and that obviously makes it quite enjoyable to work on. And Ryan's an insightful little so-and-so, and certainly I think his episode should make people think the most. It seems to be the episode that carries a lot of the message of the piece, so that's quite fun to be working on. Episodes 3 and 8 were the hardest to work on, and I'm not going to say why, because spoilers. But yeah, I'd say the Peggy and Ryan episodes were the most fun to work on.
Cool, thank you very much. That's lovely. They're all very, very good fun. And I would just mention on this point as well, you mentioned costume before, that sometimes you don't think about costume. Peggy and Ryan in particular, but everyone, they thank you to the cast for bringing those costumes and sets, basically, because they were perfect. They were really beautiful. Yeah. So anyway, so moving on. Again, so yeah, so you've mentioned also in there that so for example episode 3 and 8 were quite tricky, and maybe this will inform the answer to this, I don't know, maybe not. What's your sort of biggest takeaway from the experience of having put this together?
So what the play has taught me, so obviously, as I said, we talked a lot about family. Obviously it's about family, and of course through discussing the themes and message of the play, it gets you thinking about your own family as well, and what you can learn. And I certainly think that it's important to be truthful with your family. I think you see the consequences in Carol of someone keeping something from someone, being deliberately vague.
Yes, that's
And
fine. That's fine.
it's difficult to watch, and you know, as an audience member, go, why won't you just talk to that person? And it certainly makes me think about being, you know, forthcoming with the important things that are happening in my life with my family. Of course, there are limits. You know, sometimes you should just keep your mouth shut. It's not always true. But, yeah, I think that's my biggest takeaway. You know, be truthful with your family. Don't keep things from your family that they should know.
Nice. Okay, cool. That's a lovely answer. Thank you very much. Wasn't what I was expecting from that question necessarily, which is just awesome. Thank you. And so, sort of looking forward, pie in the sky, even possibly. If I think you've mentioned what your favorite play might be already, but if you were going to direct your favorite play, do you have a dream cast who you'd want in your cast, or just who you generally love to direct? You've mentioned a couple of names already, but I'm probably intrigued.
Yeah. So I'm not going to choose Fleabag because it's got a cast of one. So we're talking about the stage play. So that's a less interesting answer. So I'll pick A Midsummer Night's Dream. And so if I were to direct that with a dream cast for the dream, then I'd want to do it contemporary because I always prefer Shakespeare contemporary.
Nice.
And so for the fairies, I think for Titania, Tilda Swinton.
Oh yeah.
Probably partly because of her playing the Snow Queen in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Right. Yeah.
I think she'd make a great Titania. Oberon, maybe Mark Strong. I know he normally plays baddies, but he's got a commanding presence.
Yeah, definitely.
So I could see that. Puck, I always prefer female actors to play Puck rather than male. And left field choice, Margot Robbie.
Oh, right. Yeah. Nice.
You know, I think she's a bit weird.
I think you need to be Puck, though, don't you? A little bit.
Yeah.
Puck's an amazing character, but a little bit weird, yeah.
She's beautiful and weird. And like when you see her play Harlequin and how she like really throws herself into that, I'd love to see her have a go at Puck. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, a contemporary Harlequin, Birds of Prey, Midsummer Night's Dream mashup would be.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah, nice. I like it.
That's
Bottom, Johnny Vegas played Bottom once, and when I found out he was playing Bottom, I was like, oh my god, that's perfect. And so I just want him to, you know,
just do it again.
The Lovers, of course. You know, who else for my tall painted maypole for Helena but Phoebe Waller-Bridge, of course. Yeah. I think that Jack Whitehall, maybe a good Demetrius. I can see that. Lysander, maybe Daniel Kaluuya.
Okay, cool.
And I don't know about Hermia because I need someone short, and the only short actress I can think of is the woman in Miranda.
Sophie Hadland. Oh no, she'd be brilliant.
Yeah, so her younger, so that she, you know, matches with if it's the dream cast, then I'll take her when she's younger, so she's about the same age as Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Jack Whitehall, and Daniel Kaluuya.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant. Okay, lovely, cool. Thank you, Richard. That's really lovely. Nice note to end on. And despite not having your dream play and as such, but thank you very much for directing Carol. And I'm really, really excited to see it come to YouTube very soon.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to showing it to the world.